Welcome to Earth Archives. We all know that modern Germany came from the Kingdom of Prussia, but before that it was the Teutonic Knights. Today we will talk about this evolutionary history. Before the show starts, please subscribe, like, and turn on the little bell. If possible, leave your thoughts. This will help the growth of the show. Without further ado, let's officially start. The Teutonic Order is a German Roman Catholic religious order. Its members have commonly been known as the Teutonic Knights, since it was a crusading military order during the Middle Ages and much of the modern era. In 1143, Pope Celestine II ordered the Knights Hospitaller to take over management of a German hospital in Jerusalem, which, according to the chronicler Jean de Ypres, accommodated the countless German pilgrims and crusaders who could neither speak the local tongue, that is, French, nor Latin, patrie linguam ignorantibus atque Latinam. However, although formally an institution of the Hospitallers, the Pope commanded that the prior and the brothers of the domus Teutonicorum, House of the Germans, should always be Germans themselves, so a tradition of a German-led religious institution could develop during the 12th century in Palestine. After the loss of Jerusalem in 1187, some merchants from Lübeck and Bremen took up the idea and founded a field hospital for the duration of the siege of Acre in 1190, which became the nucleus of the order. Celestine III recognized it in 1192, by granting the monks Augustinian rule. Based on the model of the Knights Templar it was, however, transformed into a military order in 1198, and the head of the order became known as the Grand Master, Magister Hospitalis. It received papal orders for crusades to take and hold Jerusalem for Latin Christianity and defend the Holy Land against the Muslim Saracens. During the rule of Grand Master Hermann von Salza, 1209–1239, the order changed from being a hospice brotherhood for pilgrims to primarily a military order. Originally based in Acre, the Knights purchased Montfort, Starkenburg, northeast of Acre, in 1220. This castle, which defended the route between Jerusalem and the Mediterranean Sea, was made the seat of the Grand Masters in 1229, although they returned to Acre after losing Montfort to Muslim control in 1271. The order also had a castle near Tarsus in Armenia Minor. The order received donations of land in the Holy Roman Empire, especially in present-day Germany and Italy, Greece, and Palestine. Emperor Frederick II elevated his close friend, Hermann von Salza, to the status of Reichsfürst, or Prince of the Empire, enabling the Grand Master to negotiate with other senior princes as an equal. During Frederick's coronation as King of Jerusalem in 1225, Teutonic Knights served as his escort in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Von Salza read the Emperor's proclamation in both French and German. However, the Teutonic Knights were never as influential in Outremer as the Templars and Hospitallers. In 1211, Andrew II of Hungary accepted their services and granted him the district of Burzenland in Transylvania. Andrew had been involved in negotiations for the marriage of his daughter with the son of Hermann, Landgrave of Thuringia, whose vassals included the family of Hermann von Salza. Led by a brother called Theoderich, the order defended Hungary against the neighboring Cumans and settled new German colonists among those who were known as the Transylvanian Saxons, living there before. In 1224, the Knights petitioned Pope Honorius III to be placed directly under the authority of the Papal See, rather than that of the King of Hungary. Angered and alarmed at their growing power, Andrew responded by expelling them in 1225, although he allowed the new colonists to remain. Prussia. In 1226, Conrad I, Duke of Masovia in west-central Poland, appealed to the Knights to defend his borders and subdue the pagan Baltic Prussians, allowing the Teutonic Knights use of Chelmno land, Kulmerland, as a base for their campaign. As widespread crusading fervor surged throughout Western Europe, Hermann von Salza considered Prussia a good training ground for his knights for the wars against the Muslims in Outremer. With the Golden Bull of Rimini, Emperor Frederick II bestowed on the order a special imperial privilege for the conquest and possession of Prussia, including Chelmno land, with nominal papal sovereignty. In 1235, the Teutonic Knights assimilated the smaller order of Dobjin, which had been established earlier by Conrad. The native nobility, which submitted to the Crusaders, had many of their privileges affirmed in the Treaty of Christburg. After the Prussian uprisings of 1260–83, however, much of the Prussian nobility emigrated or were resettled, and many free Prussians lost their rights. The Prussian nobility which remained were more closely allied with the German landowners and gradually assimilated. The order ruled Prussia under charters issued by the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor as a sovereign monastic state, comparable to the arrangement of the Knights Hospitallers in Rhodes and later in Malta. To make up for losses from the plague and to replace the partially exterminated native population, the order encouraged the immigration of colonists from the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation, mostly Germans, Flemish, and Dutch, and from Masovia, Poles, the later Masurians. The colonists included nobles, burghers, and peasants, and the surviving Old Prussians were gradually assimilated through Germanization. The order itself built a number of castles, Ordensburgen, from which it could defeat uprisings of Old Prussians, as well as continue its attacks on the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland, with which the order was often at war during the 14th and 15th centuries. In 1236 the Knights of St. Thomas, an English order, adopted the rules of the Teutonic Order. The Livonian Brothers of the Sword were absorbed by the Teutonic Knights in 1237. The Livonian branch subsequently became known as the Livonian Order. The Teutonic Order's nominal territorial rule extended over Prussia, Livonia, Semigalia, and Estonia. Its next aim was to convert Orthodox Russia to Roman Catholicism, but after the Knights suffered a disastrous defeat in the battle on Lake Peipus, 1242, at the hands of Prince Alexander Nevsky of Novgorod, this plan had to be abandoned. A detachment of Teutonic Knights allegedly participated in the 1241 Battle of Legnica against the Mongols. Height of power. In 1337, Emperor Louis IV allegedly granted the order the imperial privilege to conquer all Lithuania and Russia. During the reign of Grand Master Winrich von Nyprode, 1351-1382, the order reached the peak of its international prestige and hosted numerous European crusaders and nobility. King Albert of Sweden ceded Gotland to the order as a pledge, similar to a fiefdom, with the understanding that they would eliminate the pirating Vital brothers from this strategic island base in the Baltic Sea. An invasion force under Grand Master Conrad von Jungingen conquered the island in 1398, and drove the Vital brothers out of Gotland and the Baltic Sea. In 1386, Grand Duke Jogaila of Lithuania was baptized into Roman Catholic Christianity and married Queen Jadwiga of Poland, taking the name Vladislav II Jagiello and becoming King of Poland. This created a personal union between the two countries and a potentially formidable opponent for the Teutonic Knights. The order initially managed to play Jagiello and his cousin Vytautas against each other, but this strategy failed when Vytautas began to suspect that the order was planning to annex parts of his territory. The baptism of Jagiello began the official conversion of Lithuania to Christianity. Although the crusading rationale for the order's state ended when Prussia and Lithuania had become officially Christian, the order's feuds and wars with Lithuania and Poland continued. The Lizard Union was created in 1397, by Polish nobles in Kulmerland to oppose the order's policy. In 1407, the Teutonic Order had reached its greatest territorial extent and included the lands of Prussia, Pomerelia, Samogitia, Courland, Livonia, Estonia, Gotland, Dago, Ossel, and the Neumark pawned by Brandenburg in 1402. Decline. In 1410, at the Battle of Grunwald, also known as the Battle of Tannenberg, a combined Polish-Lithuanian army, led by Vladislav II Jagiello and Vytautas, decisively defeated the order in the Polish-Lithuanian Teutonic War. Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen and most of the order's higher dignitaries fell on the battlefield, 50 out of 60. The Polish-Lithuanian army then besieged the capital of the order, Marienburg, but was unable to take it owing to the resistance of Heinrich von Plauen. When the First Peace of Toruń was signed in 1411, the order managed to retain essentially all of its territories, although the knights' reputation as invincible warriors was irreparably damaged. In 1454, the Prussian Confederation, consisting of the gentry and burghers of Western Prussia, rose up against the order, beginning the 13 Years' War. Much of Prussia was devastated in the war, during the course of which the order returned Neumark to Brandenburg in 1455. In the Second Peace of Toruń, the defeated order recognized the Polish crown's rights over Western Prussia, subsequently Royal Prussia, while retaining Eastern Prussia under nominal Polish overlordship. Because Marienburg was lost to the order, its base was moved to Königsberg in Sambia. Eastern Prussia was subsequently also lost to the order when Grand Master Albert of Brandenburg, after another unsuccessful war with Poland, converted to Lutheranism in 1525, secularized the order's remaining Prussian territories, and assumed from King Sigismund I the Old of Poland the hereditary rights to the Duchy of Prussia as a vassal of the Polish crown in the Prussian homage. The Protestant Duchy of Prussia was thus a fief of Catholic Poland. Although it had lost control of all of its Prussian lands, the Teutonic Order retained its territories within the Holy Roman Empire and Livonia, although the Livonian branch retained considerable autonomy. Many of the imperial possessions were ruined in the Peasants' War from 1524-1525, and subsequently confiscated by Protestant territorial princes. The Livonian territory was then partitioned by neighboring powers during the Livonian War. In 1561, the Livonian master Gotthard Ketteler secularized the southern Livonian possessions of the order to create the Duchy of Courland, also a vassal of Poland. After the loss of Prussia in 1525, the Teutonic Knights concentrated on their possessions in the Holy Roman Empire. Since they held no contiguous territory, they developed a three-tiered administrative system. Holdings were combined into commanderies which were administered by a commander, comtur. Several commanderies were combined to form a bailiwick headed by a landkomtur. All of the Teutonic Knights' possessions were subordinate to the Grand Master, whose seat was in Bad Mergentheim. Altogether there were 12 German bailiwicks: Thuringia, Alden-Besen, in present-day Belgium, Hesse, Saxony, Westphalia, Franconia, Koblenz, Alsace-Burgundy, and Der Ech und im Gebirge, Tyrol, Utrecht, Lorraine, and Austria. Outside of German areas were the bailiwicks of Sicily, Apulia, Lombardy, Bohemia, Romania, Greece, and Armenia-Cyprus. The order gradually lost control of these holdings until, by 1810, only the bailiwicks in Tyrol and Austria remained. Following the abdication of Albert of Brandenburg, Walter von Kronberg became Deutschmeister in 1527, and Grand Master in 1530. Emperor Charles V combined the two positions in 1531, creating the title Hoch- und Deutschmeister, which also had the rank of Prince of the Empire. A new Grand Magistery was established in Mergentheim in Württemberg, which was attacked during the Peasants' War. The order also helped Charles V against the Schmalkaldic League. After the Peace of Augsburg in 1555, membership in the order was open to Protestants, although the majority of brothers remained Catholic. The Teutonic Knights now were tri-denominational, and there were Catholic, Lutheran, and Reformed bailiwicks. The Grand Masters, often members of the great German families, and, after 1761, members of the House of Habsburg-Lorraine, continued to preside over the order's considerable holdings in Germany. Teutonic Knights from Germany, Austria, and Bohemia were used as battlefield commanders leading mercenaries for the Habsburg monarchy during the Ottoman Wars in Europe. The military history of the Teutonic Knights ended in 1809, when Napoleon Bonaparte ordered their dissolution and the order lost its remaining secular holdings to Napoleon's vassals and allies. Influence on German nationalism. German nationalism often invoked the imagery of the Teutonic Knights, especially in the context of territorial conquest from eastern neighbors of Germany and conflict with nations of Slavic origins, who were considered by German nationalists to be of lower development and inferior culture. The German historian Heinrich von Treitschke used imagery of the Teutonic Knights to promote pro-German and anti-Polish rhetoric. Such imagery and symbols were adopted by many middle-class Germans who supported German nationalism. During the Weimar Republic, associations and organizations of this nature contributed to laying the groundwork for the formation of Nazi Germany. Emperor William II of Germany posed for a photo in 1902, in the garb of a monk from the Teutonic Order, climbing up the stairs in the reconstructed Marienburg Castle as a symbol of the German Empire's policy. During World War II, Nazi propaganda and ideology made frequent use of the Teutonic Knights imagery, as the Nazis sought to depict the Knights' actions as a forerunner of the Nazi conquests for Lebensraum. Heinrich Himmler tried to idealize the SS as a 20th-century incarnation of the medieval knights.